Hello, everyone, once again, and welcome to another fantastic match of the week. I am your Colonial Champion, Sean McCarty. It is great to be here once again in the Colonial Dungeon, looking as great as it's ever been. I'm looking as great as it's ever been, especially because I'm wearing this sick Tampa Bay Buccaneers jersey. Oh, did I say that? I love being the NFC championship game contenders. I love being in the mix. First time in 13 years that the Bucs have made the playoffs. Thank you, Tampa Tom. I know what you're going to say. I'm sure 9/10 of you hate Tom Brady, and I understand. But I also understand why all of you who do like Tom Brady do like Tom Brady, because we wouldn't have been able to do it without him. In any case, this is not a football podcast. This is not a podcast at all. This is a live reaction video, and we are going to watch. I'm so excited for this matchup. We are going to watch the Midnight Express versus the Fantastics. Now, I was trying to figure out when exactly this was, because there's no date on the video, which I just sent in the description. There's no date, so it's hard to determine when this was, but I know it was world class. And if the timeline's right, because it was, I think, in July or August that the Midnight decided they were leaving world class and were going to move to Crockett, going into the Carolinas and so forth. And they were in Mid-South from 83 until, I believe, right around the winter of 84. So they didn't really have that long of a run in world class, but they definitely, so it must have been like either in the winter of 84 or up into like the spring, early summer of 85. And I want to say that this was in Houston. This is Houston Wrestling. I'm sorry, this is not world class. I thought this was world class, but I believe this is Houston Wrestling, which is totally different, which is a different promotion. But it would line up right around the same time because it's still Dennis Condrey and Bobby. So they hadn't reformed. Bobby and Stan hadn't done their thing in 80, late 86, I think is when Bobby and Stan became the standard. And then I think it was, and then of course they had the thing with Condrey later. But I want to say that this had to have been from, I would say probably 84, 85, because when they signed with Crockett, they were exclusively Crockett for the most part. So I would have to imagine that this has got to be somewhere in the, I would say somewhere in the spring of 85 is going to be my guess. Because I'm not really seeing any indication just from looking at the comment section about this. I wish I had more of a specific date, but a lot of what they were doing in Texas at that time with the Midnight was working with the Fantastics. I mean, they did a little bit with the Von Erichs, but, by the time that 85 rolled around, Kerry had gone through a lot of his stuff. I believe that, Kevin, who was one of the few, he was pretty much but of course, a lot of the Von Erich shenanigans had already happened, both in Japan and here. And I think at least two of the brothers had gone by this point. And I know I'm probably getting my timelines mixed up a little bit, but I am but a mere avid historian, but I am not a perfect historian. So in any case, what we're going to watch here tonight is the Midnight Express with Jim Cornette versus the Fantastics. This is going to be great because these guys, this matchup is going to have no commentary. And that, I'm just looking up so I can tell you, Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers, both good wrestlers, both very good wrestlers in their day. I mean, that I don't think either of them, to me, were big, they were big world title contenders, but they did have good tag matches. They kept it pretty simple, which was good. But yeah, I would imagine this has got to be somewhere in 85, because 85 the Fantastics would feud in world class. So it's world class and Houston in that, because Houston was not too far, I think, at this time from folding into world class and then eventually world class going down. But I don't know what I'm not quite sure about the timelines of that there. I would have to do a little bit more of a deep dive into it. But but they were still a good group. And the fact that I'm looking at here, it looks like they tagged together a couple times all the way up until 2007, which is kind of crazy. But Bobby and Tommy, they had some good matches both here. They did work for Crockett. I know that they had a good match with Crockett. So this is going to be good. 20 minutes, no commentary. So I'm going to do some commentary, but I'm not going to go too over the hammer here. I'm not going to pull a Gorilla Monsoon, or even worse, a Josh Matthews pretending to be Gorilla Monsoon, which I would say is the worst of those scenarios. But in any case, I'm going to get this going right here, right now. Give me 1 second, so I'm going to just grab my phone. And actually, before we do this as well, I'm going to – oh, yeah, I got to actually mention a couple things too. Before we get into this, I have some logistics I need to go over. But before we do that, pardon me one moment. Just got to dip out of frame for something real quick. Yeah, YouTube's kind of weird with certain combustibles. But in any case, I wanted to bring up something, and I hope my co-host is watching, because I'm going to be explaining what's going to happen on Saturday. First of all, we are switching to Saturday for the Court Martial Podcast, episode 52, ACPW versus NWO redraft. For our Season 2 fantasy leagues, the way that we're going to do it is we are going to be able to keep anywhere. I'm going to let it be a little bit more free reign. So we're going to be able to keep up to 15 entities, which means tag teams, singles competitors, any of those count as one unit. So a tag team is a slot. Of the 30 open spaces, you get to keep 15 slots. You do not have to, and that's what we're going to do. So Skyler and I, at a maximum, you can keep a maximum of 15 entities. At minimum, 10. So all the champions obviously count, unless you really feel like ditching one of your world champions. But that's up to Skyler. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep the guys I've got, because I like FTR and I like Jeff Cobb and I like what I'm doing with Jim Cornette. So I'm going to keep all three of those guys around, and so on and so forth. So you get to keep at least 10, no more than 15. And what we will do is Skyler and I, at the very beginning, will talk about who we kept and why we kept it. And then from then, we will move that on, and then we will fill the slots until we get up to 30. So we are going to determine. So I could, and this is how we're going to work this. I could, if I wanted to, and I really wanted to reset, I could drop 20 slots out of my 30 that I chose. Totally could do that. But if I drop 20, Skyler can maybe Skyler wants to keep 15 entities. So he'll be able to keep 15 and I'll do 10. And if that's the case, and there's a little bit of discrepancy there, what we'll do is we're still going to alternate back and forth on the actual draft itself. So let's say, for all intents and purposes, let's say I have 20 spots to fill and Sky's got 15. I'll start. I'll go 1, and then I'll draft, he'll draft, I'll draft, he'll draft. And then when he's done, I'll just fill in the rest and I'll just complete the levels from there. So it'll still be a back and forth. We'll still be able to get a good draft. We'll see who stays and who goes. And obviously who's dropped is going to make a big difference as far as who picks up who and why and, all of that. So it's going to be a really interesting time, but you're going to see that on Saturday because we have a little bit of a scheduling discrepancy. And unfortunately, we're not able to record the actual show until Friday. And obviously I need a little bit of time to edit. So we're going to do it on Saturday instead. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a great time. And that is our redrafting of all that kind of stuff. And we might add some fun little twists and turns into the mix, like maybe doing a turn the clock back. Maybe you get one historical pick, because colonists. But we'll have to see. We'll determine that as it goes. But you're going to have to tell, because I'm only giving you a base frame around which we will entertain the hell out of you. So there's always a chance that there could be a swerve or a throw. Anything can happen here at the Court Martial Podcast, and that, my friends, is a fact. But as it stands, it is time to watch our video. Now, for those of you who have not already checked it out, in the live chat, there is the link to this match. The name of the match is Midnight Express with Jim Cornette versus the Fantastics. No punctuation there at all. The video is by Rob D. And there is no commentary. This is from Houston Wrestling. And we are going to start this out 20 minutes, no commentary. So you're going to be hearing a little commentary from me, but I'm not going to be going too hard on this because I'm not JR. And for those of you who want to listen to my commentary, subtle plug, for those of you who want to listen to my commentary, I do have an e-fed called Colonial Impact Wrestling, which you can find on the Colonial Impact Wrestling page. We are just getting ready in a couple weeks' time to launch our CIW 7-year anniversary Wrestlebration. We've been doing this e-fed thing for 7 years now, and slowly improving the quality of the videos each time. So stay tuned for that. Of course, there's a whole analog of other videos you can watch. Some of them are fun, some of them aren't, but all of them are action-packed. And so you can always hear my commentary from there. If you can't get enough Court Martial podcast and you can't get enough of me, your Colonial Champion, Sean McCarty, you can always possibly catch me there, as well as the man you saw last week, A Bizzle, who's also the color commentator, if you will. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's stick to the task at hand, shall we? We've done enough tangenting enough. That we visited the Department of Redundancy department. So we are starting at 0, 0, 0. And of course, I'm going to count this in now because this is not an official WWE video. Chances are good we're actually going to be able to see this all the way through. So let's hope that that is the case and we don't get any ads, but you never know. Here we go. I'm going to pop this into full screen and then we will get set to go here. I'm just going to make sure that you all can see me as I sit down and watch. A little bit of a mixed bag, but you can kind of see my face. And the hat doesn't seem to help, just exposes how bald I am. But you know what? I think as this goes on, it won't be that big a deal. So here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. And through the crowd come the Fantastics. Now, I remember a match that these two had in the Fantastics and the Midnight had. I believe it was in 87. I don't think it was at Starrcade, unless it might have been I don't think it was Starrcade, but it was another WCW event, maybe one of the Clashes, where they had some really interesting moves going on there, and curse this Houston arena for being so dark. As Cornette, that was a pretty athletic move by Cornette getting out of the ring. And Bobby Eaton, the only one in tights. Dennis Condrey looking a little beefier than he normally has. It looks like he was, back in the 80s, he had a little bit of a leaner cut to him. Still looked like an ox, but and Bobby and Dennis working the Christmas colors, but I do not think this was a Christmas, judging by the outfits that these folks are wearing in the arena. And Cornette in the corner, of course. This was pretty popular. But the Midnight Express, they'd have the little conversation in the corner. That's, I think, Fulton right there. And Cornette giving a hug, trying to get people in. Of course, the fans not appreciating it. I believe the Midnight were still heels at this point because you don't really have a heel team called the Fantastics. You know, the more I've seen Bobby Eaton, the more I've really come to respect him as an athletic guy. And Fulton trying to jump start. And now this back and forth, kind of a little bit of intimidation. Bobby was always good at just being like just enough the coward and have that cowardly face, but also right when he turns it on, he still looks like any intimidating gremlin, scrapper. You know, he could be a weasel, but when he's on it, he's on it. Now you can tell this was ripped from a VHS tape. Got that nice tape distortion. Referee into the corner. Break up there. Tommy Rogers in that match that I was mentioning earlier got hit with, I forget what. It was either a knee or he had his eye. Basically, his eye just completely bulged up and he couldn't see. Look how much more the collar and elbow tie-up matters in matches back in the 80s. Just with the big choke. And then just the overshoot swing and the hip toss just got a huge response. And I was saying that Fulton grabbed the tights. Props to this referee for getting up and being all big and animated about it. Of course, Eaton accusing. Cornette being a little shrimp on the outside. I love Jim's fighting stance. Jim calling him chicken. That's not nice, Jim. That's not nice, Corny. It's not nice. The early advantage, pulls out of the headlock, kick to Condrey. Now Fulton getting the headlock. I always thought the wrestling back in this era reminded me a lot of like baseball games. You know, where it was like you go there and you go have a good time and you talk to people. And then, and sometimes in the middle of a match, not a ton is happening, but you're still cheering for one guy over the other or one team over the other. And then when they get that hit or when one of them gets a miss or they miss the grab for the out and all of a sudden the crowd pops and you get a lot of that like ebb and flow where you don't really as much now. I mean, well, given the circumstances, but back when it was a slower man's game, Bobby coming in and what is it? Oh, is he going to do the headlock in the Hurricanrana? Oh yeah, classic. And now the double hip toss, gorgeous. And now everything big schmaz, big yep. And boy, Tommy Rogers looks great, and then that was a little contrived, but the miscue back body drop, and now the Midnight have to go out and regroup. That was fun. I don't know, like the Fantastics put Dennis and Bobby, and one goes down, the other goes up and over, and then they have to come back up and regroup. Because all of a sudden the Fantastics got the better of these guys, and now Jim's talking advice. Jim's screaming at him like Brady screaming at his offensive line during the Bears game. I'm wearing the jersey, so I'm making a lot of references. I apologies in advance if football or sports in general that aren't pro wrestling are not your thing. Now the handshake. Now Fulton saying, no, I'm not going to fall for the handshake. 5 minutes elapsed. I assume this is like a 20, 30-minute match because I imagine they wouldn't give just 10 to the Midnight. Because the Midnight, it definitely turned some heads in Mid-South at this point. It really turned some heads at this point as far as what they were able to do, especially with 2 and TA. You see, we may not get the news segment, but if anyone who saw Raw saw that Randy Orton mask with the really bad makeup and the deformed nose that smeared onto the mask, the mask made me think of 2. The mask made me think of, that's Mr. Wrestling too, by the way. The mask made me think of 2. Wonder how much Randy Orton has seen Mr. Wrestling 2. I assume Jim had to show some tapes during his day, and now Fulton went after Cornette. Cornette, like the elephant with the mouse, getting up to the corner, just trying not to get hit. And these fans want to see Corny get his little smarmy ass beat. Jim's selling it like he just had a heart attack. I was like, come on, mate. Jim getting all upset. Now he's freaking the hell out. Now Jim going in there like, let me at him. Let me at him. Bobby and Dennis telling him to regroup. Fans going nuts over Jim going nuts. Fantastic's hyping it up. This is pro wrestling, man. This is real pro wrestling. This is where the acting matters. This kind of acting is where it matters. It's all about where you place it and how you present it. Because wrestling has always instinctively been a good chunk acting. But what wrestling isn't is actors doing wrestling. This was wrestlers doing some acting as opposed to actors wrestling. Or even worse, wrestlers being forced to act, which is what you get with WWE. It's all about presentation, folks. It's all about when and how. And now Jim wants to get in there. Jim wants to get in there, but instead they're going to regroup. Jim's, what is he, my age at this point? I'm 27. He's got to be close to that. In 84, 85. No, he's probably 25, 26. Because in 82 with Flair, now Fulton again going after Jimmy. I think Bobby could have really easily gotten Jim there, but they had to make it look like that was a misdirection. Tommy on the outside so far. Bobby getting pissed at the cameraman even showing that. Eaton, that is. I love the scrappy Jewishness of Jim, right, of Cornette. Even Condrew's like, whoa. Now, Fulton and Tommy Rogers just getting a little taunting into the team that so far Condrey and Eaton have not been able to do anything against. It's been all Fantastics here to start. And attempts at Jim Cornette. And if we know Jim as well as his career has said, then obviously he has done something egregious to warrant, like pulling the hair, for example, and getting some punches, some of which look good, some of which look like crap. But that's okay. His punches would develop. It was more effective when Jim just potatoed you because he knew how to throw a potato. Now Fantastic's coming back. You thought that cheating was the heat spot, but in comes Tommy Rogers. I'm guessing they're going to get the heat on Rogers here. Nice drop kick, though. Pretty. Then that flare up. I love when they do that, where they've got that big punch and they're like getting ready to go in. Ricky Morton did that all the time. I even liked it coming out of Bret Hart. There was that moment, oh, there's the heat spot. Condrey pulling the hair illegally, and now the right hand punch. And now a kick while the referee's trying to get Fulton in, and here comes the heat. And now I love that lady in the front being real pissed off that the referee didn't see that. And now all of a sudden the momentum has changed, and the Midnight Express are getting some heat. Now luring Fulton in, so Eaton could go up on the outside, bring him back to the corner, give Jim another punch. He's going to hold him down. Uh-oh, is this going to be a kick to the gut? Oh, nasty. Wonder what that patch on Rogers' shoulder is. Might be surgery, but it doesn't look big enough to be a surgery. Bobby back in. There was something to having simpler tights like this. You know, you're not seeing 6,000 different painted artworks with their name on it on their tights. It's just red tights, red trunks, green trunks. Easy. Just whatever's there. I think things get a little too the more I watch these old matches, the more I really think that the show business part of wrestling really ended up being part of its detriment. Because you'd think that all of those things, like having the exclusive, really nice, like the cool artwork on the tights and stuff like that, you think it would help, but it doesn't really. It's just fluff. Call me old-fashioned. This is just more heat. They're coming out of Houston. Andre on top of Rogers. Kind of had to see that Rogers is going to be the one to get the heat when he hadn't been tagged in the entire matchup for like the good 8 or 9 minutes that they shined the babyface. Now getting a little flurry in. I don't think it's going to be much more than that. Nope, it's not. That's not even the hope spot. That's just a little flurry. They're going to be in. I think they're going to go in for another hope spot. That was just a little flurry. God. You know, everyone's like, oh, it's so boring with just punches and kicks. But, like, do you see the velocity of the kicks that Dennis Condrey was landing? That intensity is missing in wrestlers nowadays. Nobody's intense like that anymore. Drew throws a good punch. Roman throws a good punch. That's about it. You don't see intensity in strikes like that. And even with those two, they're still following WWE's format of being slow and methodical, and nothing looks snug, nothing looks tight, nothing looks intense. It's just like an overall lack of intensity in pro wrestling. And that is a nice boot by Bobby Eaton to continue the heat. You know, Fulton coming in to protect his partner here. Comes Dennis. Oh, there was an ad, but it's not going to air. It's not going to air. The heat right now, Bobby and Dennis doing real good and making sure that they're Bobby almost tagged Rogers to tag himself in, and then he realized that wasn't Dennis. So he's like, wait, where's Dennis? And Dennis right there to make the tag. That was funny. Oh, there's the hope spot. Small package hope spot. But, of course, the referee didn't see it. Now they're going to go into another big move, and then Tommy's going to make that one big comeback spot, but it's not happening yet. It's coming, though. The one that starts the comeback, I should say. The one that leads to the hot tag. Here's the kick out. Bobby pissed. Tag to Dennis. This is tag team wrestling, man. And, you know, I like this Bobby Eaton more than I like the one in Crockett, because Bobby always had to come off the top rope. You know, I mean, there was always one top rope spot, even though he was so diverse in what he would do and what he was able to do. This Bobby with Dennis is just a little more grounded of a gimmick. He's more grounded of a guy. I like the more smash mouth approach that these two have, as opposed to the Stan Lane Karate and Bobby Eaton, like the all around. There's a little more. It's a little more like beat down as opposed to more. I don't want to call it aerobatics because that's not really what it is, or acrobatics. That's not really it either. It's just, it was a different dynamic. I just like this dynamic because Bobby worked, I think, better with Dennis. And then Jim luring Bobby Fulton. Fulton not able to do anything, trying to help out Tommy. Boy, this is how you know, with only a couple minutes left in this matchup, with only 2.5 left, you know that once this comeback starts, they're pretty much on the clock. Like their clock is ticking. And that's something I wish that pro wrestling now would get more of. Oh, and here we go. There's the heat. There's the hope. To get a sunset flip him? Oh, I thought he was going to do that sunset flip through the middle. That would have been insane. I don't know if Houston would even allow that, going up and over the top rope like that. Now the athleticism getting up on the second rope. Leapfrog, drop kick. And there's the hope spot. Now everybody trying to come on and got all the credit in the world to Houston's crowds. Houston comes unglued when hot tags happen. That matchup between Wrestling 2 with 2 and TA and these guys in the Midnight War class, same thing. Tag to Dennis, boom goes Fulton, and the crowd is off their feet. They're actually levitating. It's another thing. Notice that Dennis got the tag first. Uh-oh. And then Bobby throws Tommy into the referee. But that's how you know we're going. We're going home. It's time to go home. And now, that forearm, that was not terrific. But what a matchup and a win by the Fantastics, and that's it. God, that sequence was fast. Jim furious. Fantastics beat, which makes me think that these two, this is like in the middle of their feud or near the end of their feud. So this makes me think this is more like in the summer of '85 or near the summer of '85. Jim throwing his little hissy fit tantrum, being all mad like the prep kid, doing a great job of that. Then they announced the Fantastics again just because. But this is a non-title match. And now Jim hold up the... Okay, so if they've still got the world-class tag titles, then I guess that they're not done yet. I want to watch that finish again. Because the finish was so quick that I just want to catch this. I'm going to start it back, hold on, at 18. I'm going to do it at exactly 18 minutes. Watch this. Because I want you to see how fast this was. How fast from tag to tail end. This was so quick. Within 45 seconds, I think this match ended. From the hot tag to the finish. That's the kind of speed that I like seeing. Once the hot tag's in, big comeback, big mistake with Bobby going to the top, Dennis trying to hold him down. Of course, they do switch around where Tommy Rich or Fulton, I think it was Fulton, where Bobby Fulton just kicks out just enough, hits Dennis instead. And let's take a look. We're at 18 minutes here. We're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Bobby, tag 1 to Dennis. Tag 2 to Bobby Fulton. Right hand to Fulton. Right hand to Bobby. Right hand to Dennis. Holds it forward. They're feeding him real well. Tommy's on the outside. Then Bobby, of course, is going to push him into the referee so that he doesn't see the double team. Cornette scooping Fulton. Now he's going to hold Fulton. He's going to go for an elbow. The elbow hits Dennis instead. The drop kick to Bobby. And, of course, the quick roll-up and the quick catch. And just like that, 30 seconds. 36 seconds is from the pin to the pin. From tag to the pin. 36 seconds. Folks, if you want to know why I like older wrestling more than newer wrestling, this is a big part of it. Because half the time with tag team wrestling now, you get a hot tag and then you get another 20 minutes a match. And it's like it just kills the purpose of the tag. I mean, the crowd comes unglued. They Midnight make a mistake. Fantastics take advantage and they catch Dennis sleeping. Referee didn't see the double tag, didn't see the jump up to the top rope. It's all pretty clean cut. You're tight. Of course, Jim throws a hissy fit, says, well, we're still tag champs, so screw yourselves. And that's that. And that's the kind of wrestling that deserves recognition. This is the kind of tag team wrestling I would really like to see again because we don't have enough of it. We don't have any of it. We have no tag team wrestling like this, not even from FTR. We have no tag team wrestling like this, where the four guys, A, know what they're doing, B, it isn't just a vanity spot show project, and C, know that when you make the hot tag, time to get out of there. It's like it's really not difficult. Once that comeback starts, your clock is ticking. It's time to put it to bed. But speaking of putting to bed, that's it for this match of the week. I hope you guys had as fun a time watching me watch it as I have fun watching it, talking to you with the commentary. Stay tuned Saturday as we've got the redraft ACPW versus NWL. Who will stay, who will go, who will switch brands? You'll find out come Saturday. I am, of course, your Colonial Champion, Sean McCarty, and I will see you on Saturday. Take care, everybody. See you then.